Welcome to the Enchanted Ears podcast,
where we discuss anything and everything Disney.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Joe, and on today's episode, we are concluding the greatest soundtrack of all time.
The best Disney animated soundtrack.
Best Disney animated soundtrack of all time. And based on the voting we got from our Instagram, I think we're going to make some people mad today.
I might even make myself mad.
Yeah. So if you did not see last week's episode, this is the second part of a two-part episode. Last week, we went through all of the animated soundtracks and kind of whittled it down to the top ones. And that's what we're getting into today, of actually ranking the top soundtracks. But if you want to hear us go through all, I think there was 19 or so total, check out last week's episode. Before we get into this week's episode and we get into the rankings, let's cover the Disney news of the week. So a few pieces of Disney news. One thing is that I got influenced because Disney had a bunch of influencers come on the Disney Destiny, which is their newest cruise ship, and sold me. So Disney's marketing plan of getting influencers to come on and show you how awesome the ship is worked. Because now I'm like, I need to go on the Destiny.
Which is pretty impressive because we liked The Wish, but I think that both of us were like not super impressed by it, and it didn't have us like raring to go back on another Disney cruise. And then you came up me one day and you were like, we got to go on this ship. And I was a little like taken aback.
I mean, to the point, I was looking at dates to be like, when can I fit this in? When can I make this work? So this is the same ship as the Wish. So the ship's not done yet. They had people come on the Wish and just kind of talked about the offerings that were going to be on the Destiny. It's the same ship. It's the third one. So I feel like they had more time to kind of see what was working and what wasn't working. But this is a whole hero and villains themed. It sounds like there's going to be a multi-day storyline with Loki and the villains taking over the ship. So there's going to be a lot more like interactive stuff to it. The Hercules show looks great. I believe there's a Lion King restaurant. I mean, it checks a lot of boxes to the point where I was like, I kind of need to go on this ship.
Well, the thing that you said that did get me intrigued was you said that they like took some of the stuff, like what they learned from the Star Cruiser, and they were trying to like incorporate that into the Loki show, and like there are choices and things that are going to follow
a show.
you.
I mean, that's the theme multi-day, that the villains are there. Loki apparently is going to be part of your cruise, trying to learn like how cruises work and to try to like ingratiate himself with humans. So that's where kind of that not a staged show, but more like interactive live action seems to be pulling from the Star Cruiser.
Yeah, so that for me is where I was like, okay, now I'm listening, because I think that I don't know, that would be really cool. I mean, that is what the Star Cruiser was. It was like being on a cruise ship minus the location. So now they're putting it on their ships, which is cool. Like, I hope that how cool would it be if they eventually did a actual Star Wars ship?
Well, they do have Star Wars Day at Sea, so I could see them, and they've had Marvel Day at Sea, so this is kind of an expansion of that with all the villains. So I could see an expansion of Star Wars cruise, maybe. Like I don't think the ship would be, but
like special cruises where Gaia is like performing, or like
I think Gaia's music was played at Star Wars Celebration.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so not Star Cruiser's not completely gone. Some things last there. So then a couple pieces of news over at Walt Disney World. So one thing is, it sounds like the rope drop procedure is changing. So instead of you waiting kind of at like Tomorrowland or Frontierland, like at a literal rope and waiting for them to drop it to then go run and ride whatever ride you want to ride, it sounds like Disney is going to let you go stand in line. So you can go and wait in line for anything, and then the rides won't actually open until the time. But like you could go wait on Tron, for instance, and be like the first in line for Tron, even though it might not open a half an hour early. So seeing some reports on this, I'm not sure if this is like 100% confirmed that this is what's happening going forward, or if this was just like a test happening. So if any of our listeners are down at Walt Disney World and you're at the Magic Kingdom early, and you're kind of doing the rope drop, let us know. Like, did it change? Are they letting you kind of queue up in line or not? Because it'll be interesting if they let you do that. That way you don't have that like
the mad dash.
Yeah, the big rush of people there. I think from a safety perspective, it makes sense. Like, just go wait in line.
That's one of the 5 keys.
Yeah. That's the ultimate key.
Yeah, I'd say isn't that the number one of the 5 keys?
Yeah. So I'm interested to see how this is actually working. The other thing is that Disney is offering free kids dining in 2026. This is all of 2026. So if you go to Walt Disney World and you book a stay at the resort and you buy a dining plan as an adult, your kid gets a dining plan for free. So a pretty big offer and discount to be announcing already. 2026 bookings just went live a couple weeks ago, and so they announced this. So all of 2026, like in 2025 we had free water park, 2026 is free dining, which is pretty impressive.
That is interesting. So the water park thing's going away then?
I've not heard yet that that's continuing. Yeah.
Oh man, that's sad.
Yeah, and maybe it comes back, but I have not heard that this. But yeah, so drive people get the dining plans and your kids eat free. This may actually make the dining plan worth it.
Yeah.
You know, if you can pay for yours and then your kids free, you're saving more. You have to buy less to kind of make it worth it versus if you're paying for everybody in your family.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
And then the last thing is over at Disneyland, they announced that Run Disney events will be suspended for the next couple of years as they move into the Disneyland Forward expansion. So the January half marathon will be the last event at Disneyland.
That's so weird. So they just brought it back just to get rid of it again.
Well, and this, what happened, it had been a few years because they were doing construction for Galaxy's Edge and Avengers Campus and some of the other things, so that there was, I think, 5 or 6 years, maybe not that long, that there weren't events. They came back for like 2 years, and now because of expansion, they're closing again. That's the problem with Disneyland. It's so tight. Anytime they do expansion, they need backstage areas. They can't have the races. So yeah, there goes the coast to coast. We got like 2 years of coast to coast and races. So it'll probably be another, I don't know, 5 or 6 years before it comes back once they're done with all this stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess that gives us another reason to go over there and run another race, just to determine that Disney World has better Run Disney races. Although they had pretty good theming, like especially like not the ones we did, but the one that our friends did with like Ahsoka. I thought that was really well themed. It looked like. So
yeah, they have a lot of characters out there and stuff. But yeah, so
they brought some different characters.
If you want to run at Disneyland, you have the Halloween event, which I'm not sure maybe sold out already. And then the January half marathon. That's it. Then it goes bye-bye again for a while. All right, so that's it for the news. So let's get into the top soundtracks. So just to remind everybody kind of where we are and how we got here. So last week we went through all of the Disney animated soundtracks, talked about the top songs, the pros, the cons of every soundtrack, kind of the different eras of Disney movies. And from that, we whittled it down to the top 6 soundtracks. So we have Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Hercules, Tarzan, Frozen 2, and Moana. So those are the 6 soundtracks that we will be ranking. The other thing we did is we went through and we talked about like what are the top types of songs. So what's the best villain song? What's the best love song? What's the best theme song, etc. We put all of those up on Instagram. We're at Enchanted Podcast on Instagram and had our listeners vote on all of those. And I have to say, some of the voting on this was wild.
I did not vote at all. Like I thought about it.
Either. Yeah.
I thought about it and I was like, oh, look, he posted this. And I was like, oh, I could vote. And I'm like, no, I don't want to taint this in any way, shape, or form. I want it to be purely the listeners. And there's some movie stands in here.
Yeah. And that's what I said at the beginning. I think we are going to make people upset with this.
We love you.
Yeah,
sorry.
Just based on how some of this voting went. But so like let's look at some of the songs. So best villain song, the 4 options we kind of came up with was Be Prepared, Poor Unfortunate Souls, We Don't Talk About Bruno, and Gaston. Surprisingly, Gaston had the least number of votes. It only had 10% of the votes.
That is surprising to me.
And this is kind of the theme. Like Beauty and the Beast does not seem as popular as I thought. It pulled ahead in some instances.
And I do wonder about this because, okay, so before we did our big road trip and we listened to like all of the songs, I would have had a different ranking. So my question sort of is this because people truly don't like it, or they're like, they kind of forget like what kind, like how good some of these songs are and how good some of these soundtracks are. And like, I don't know, Beauty and the Beast is, I don't know. I just think it's so good.
Yeah, and some of
and it's maybe older, so maybe people don't give it that credit, or maybe I think I really love a Broadway style like musical, and I think that Beauty and the Beast out of all of these probably sounds the most like Broadway, if that makes any sense.
And I think some of it could be like generational too. We actually had listener Derek, he reached out on Instagram like during the voting, and he basically said that he was like, this is so much like, you asked me, asked my wife who's a couple years older, and we have completely different responses. And so much of this is kind of like,
I think it's a good point.
When you grew up, like what were the movies that were popular when you grew up, because that's going to have a big shift. And Beauty and the Beast being one of the oldest ones, though Poor Unfortunate Souls, Little Mermaid is older than Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And that one is on there. But Beauty and the Beast kind of made a comeback at the end, but some of these, like, it had no votes for a while. Like, so Gaston had 10%. Then we Don't Talk About Bruno at 13, which I think makes sense because it's not really a villain song. I think we kind of had that argument last week, whether it's really a villain song or not. Poor Unfortunate Souls with 37%. And then Be Prepared, actually by one vote, got the win.
I love that person who cast that one. Actually, the people who voted for it, that wasn't
you?
It was not me.
Yeah, I confirmed it wasn't you.
It was not me. I did not vote. I refrain. I'm very proud of myself from holding back, but Be Prepared, the rightful king in this case, has come out on top.
Yes. Be Prepared did win, which I think makes sense. I think the top two, definitely were the two best villain songs.
To be quite honest with you, I was surprised that Be Prepared came out on top. And here's I always thought I was a weirdo for liking that song as much as I do. I don't feel like there's as much, I don't know, maybe I just don't talk to enough Disney people, but I always feel like when that song comes on and like you hear that like at the beginning, I don't know, you can't make that noise that they make. It like something, and it's so like gothic and like so
people love it,
incredible, and like the way that Jeremy Irons and Jim Cummings voice like is like,
well, again,
growly. It's so appropriate for a lion. I don't know.
It's very villainy too.
It is.
I mean, it's a great villain song. Same with Poor Unfortunate Souls. Like both of those songs are very much, the villain is very evil, is very much explaining. It's very much explaining like, this is what I'm going to do. Whereas like Gaston, they're like just singing like, oh, here's this guy, he's Gaston. Like you kind of get these bits and pieces of why he's not a great guy, but it's not like Poor Unfortunate Souls where Ursula's singing like, I'm going to take your soul. I've done this to other people. Like you better be careful of what you're signing.
But she tells Ariel everything up front. Ariel is just stupid enough to do it.
I know.
I would almost argue that Gaston is worse because he's like toxic masculinity and everyone worships him. Yeah. So he's like that dangerousness that people don't realize is dangerous versus her that tells everyone.
It's more overt. Like it's more overt in those songs.
And also you could make the argument, I'll argue against myself, that she sees desperate people, and even though she's honest about what she's going to do, she takes advantage of their desperation.
Correct.
Correct.
All right, so moving on to the I Want song. The four we had there were Into the Unknown, Part of Your World, What's This, which you said was one of the best I Want songs, and How Far I'll Go. So the song that you thought was just the absolute, just like quintessential I Want song, What's This? Almost got no votes. It got one vote right at the end.
Thank you to the one person. I mean, I don't say that. I do not know that I think that is the best of this grouping.
I mean, you were really talking it up about how great a song it was.
No, because I do think that you don't think of Nightmare Before Christmas as a musical, one, and two, like it's never grouped with the animated movies with soundtracks. And so I thought it was really important that we looked at it that way. And I do think this song encapsulates one emotion really well. And again, it's wonder. Like, he is so struck by how this is so different from where he lives. Like, there's something so endearing about that. Again, don't know that it's better than the other ones, but it is a really sweet song.
Well, one person out there agrees with you. So
I'm speaking to you. That one person, that you're the one I'm speaking to.
What's This got one vote? Into the Unknown only got 10% of the votes, which I'm surprised.
I don't know how.
But that was very low. How Far I'll Go got 30%, and then the majority, 57%, was Part of Your World, which I think this was one of the rare ones where it was actually over 50%. Like, a lot of these, the top ones didn't crack 50%, but Part of Your World, 50%. So a lot of Little Mermaid fans out there.
When we were in Boston, we were running. We went on a little run around. Was it Boston Commons? And there was a busker out there singing Part of Your World, and I was singing along, and she was very impressed that I knew what song she was singing and was singing with her.
Yeah.
It is a good song.
It is. So yeah, 57%, like I said, one of the rare ones to get over 50.
That was one in our re-listen that I thought would have done better in my rankings, and it actually fell. Like, I really love that song, but I don't think I think there's two better songs in that grouping.
Wait, what two do you think are better? Into the Unknown and How Far I'll Go?
Into the Unknown is, I think, one of the best. Just one of the best songs, Disney, period.
And obviously, What's This?
No, my other one is How Far I'll Go. I think that one's a, just crazy power ballad. Part of Your World is great. And it does lay out very well what she wants. So my opinion might change on some days, but I think if you're asking me out of those, we'll say those three, which one I would pick most days to listen to would be Into the Unknown.
Okay. All right. So moving on to Sidekick, we have Hakuna Matata, Be Our Guest, You're Welcome, and Under the Sea.
This blows my mind.
I feel somewhat vindicated because I had always said, like, I'm not a huge fan of You're Welcome. Last week, I kind of went back on it because when I listened to it,
when we listened to it.
I don't want to say loved it. I was like, okay, this is better than I remember. But it came in last place with like 12% of the vote. So now I'm like, well, maybe I was right the first time. So now I'm going back. Is You're Welcome good? Isn't it good? Under the Sea, 21%. So this is where the streak of Little Mermaid ends. Mm-hmm. Be Our Guest had 32%, and then just edging it out ever so slightly was Hakuna Matata at 35%, which I think that is the best Sidekick song.
So we are starting to see, we had some real Lion King stans voting here. We got Be Prepared as number one. We got Hakuna Matata as number one. I think there's some other of the polling that Lion King came out on top. So you can either say they're Lion King stans or that's just the best soundtrack, hands down. But I fully disagree with this one. Fully disagree.
You don't think Hakuna Matata?
No.
Oh, that's right. You like Be Our Guest.
Be Our Guest is one of my favorite Disney songs, period. Like, it is, most days it's probably number one. And then some days it might fall to two or three after, like, Into the Unknown and some other song that creeps up there.
I think the thing is, Hakuna Matata has become...
Oh, it's
like in the lexicon. Like, just the term Hakuna Matata, it means no words. Everybody knows it. That I think that's why it is so popular. And I think that is, like, the best Sidekick song. Like, Disney has not topped that since... And moving on to the next one with, like, the main theme, and I 100% agree with this voting. So we had Circle of Life, Belle, Colors of the Wind, and Two Worlds. Circle of Life overwhelmingly won at 50%. And I 100% agree with this because I went back and re-listened to the top 6 soundtracks that we're going to rank. Because we listened to them all. There was, like, over 100 songs to kind of narrow it down last week. And I went back and I said, okay, let me listen to these top 6. Circle of Life, like, my note on The Lion King was, I don't know of another movie that has a song that is so well tied into its theme.
Yeah.
In that the Circle of Life is the main theme of the movie. It's repeated over and over again, and actually the song is named that, and it's so perfectly tied in to that movie that there's no other Disney movie that does that. And again, in the same way that like Hakuna Matata has just become a phrase that everybody knows, everybody knows the circle of life as well. And like people talk about that. And so I 100% agree that like this is the best theme. And so it got 50% of the vote. The other ones, so just real quick, Colors of the Wind was actually second at 21%, then Belle at 18, and then Two Worlds at 12. So they were all pretty close, but Circle of Life was a runaway with this.
The crazy thing about Circle of Life is you need to hear probably half a second of the song and you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You don't need more than one note. The second she goes, ah, you know it's Circle of Life, which is absolutely kind of mind blowing. And I would bet you anybody who listens to Disney music would with confidence get that every time, which is really interesting. And again, like for me, I think I agree with you here. Like I think I agree with this, that like Circle of Life is probably the best one, but I suffer from loving The Lion King since I was a little kid. So I have a hard time because sometimes I'm like, I've listened to this so many times that I like other ones better. I would argue that it should have been closer, maybe not it should have won, but it should have been closer between Colors of the Wind and Circle of Life.
Yeah, this was an absolute runaway.
Yeah, it was a runaway, and I think Colors of the Wind is very much the theme of the movie as well. Is like, you know, you think that whatever land you land on, like I can't remember what it is right now. Earth's just a dead thing you can claim. Like it's very much about learning to live with the land. It's a very environmental message, and like also like learning to understand people. And in Pocahontas, so I do think that is a really well like thematically tied in song, and it's also a beautiful song, but I don't know that it could beat Circle of Life. I think that but I do think that it maybe would be a little closer.
Okay, then for love song, we had Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Beauty and the Beast, I See the Light, and then we could not agree on a fourth one. I said A Whole New World. You said You'll Be in My Heart. So we said we're going to have kind of like a play-in vote. It ended up exactly 50-50.
That's incredible.
So like when the voting ended, it was exactly 50-50. So nobody could agree on that.
So we threw that one away.
We just threw both of them out, and we left it with Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Beauty and the Beast, and I See the Light. Narrowly, by one vote, I See the Light got the win. Just beat out Can You Feel the Love Tonight, and then Beauty and the Beast came in third there. So I had a lot of people kind of message me and were like, I See the Light. Like that's the one. Like listen to the words. It's the best love song. Like, this is it. I think Can You Feel the Love Tonight is a really good song too. Again, Lion King seems to be doing well. So interesting that those two were kind of neck and neck. And then again, Beauty and the Beast, I would have thought would have done better. But it actually, was behind it. So I See the Light got 40%. Can You Feel the Love Tonight got 37%. Beauty and the Beast only at 23%. So kind of not as close as I would have thought it would be.
Yeah, I think I See the Light is more overtly a love song maybe than Can You Feel the Love Tonight, because the words to Can You Feel the Love Tonight are all about like kind of Nala trying to break through Simba's shields. Like he's holding back, he's hiding, but what I can't decide, why won't he be the king I know he is, the king I see inside? Like she's trying to get through to him, but also realizing that she like is falling for him. Whereas I think that the lyrics to, I don't know that one as well, but I think that one is a lot more like, it's more of like a romantic song. And again, that's one of the songs that when we did this listen through, I was like, oh, I'm really surprised. I kind of always discounted this song.
Tangled, you mean?
I See the Light. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a great song. I mean, it's definitely, I would say it's probably the best song from Tangled.
Yeah. I think I agree. It's one of the ones that like I need to listen to more, because I think that it is, like I said, I've always discounted it.
I don't think Tangled has a lot of great songs. I think that's what hurts it. They have a lot of good songs, but I feel like there's not as many standout songs. Like I See the Light is a great one. And you know, everybody knows like Mother Knows Best. Like you've at least heard of that one.
Mother knows best.
But then like her first one, like When Will My Life Begin? I feel like that's good, but I feel like that's almost like just her randomly naming things. Like I just feel like the other songs aren't as strong as some of these other soundtracks. I think that's where it's a little bit weak. But yeah, I See the Light is that's what I think is probably the best song out of there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's start losing some friends here. So I did put out there as well. I did kind of sets of 3 to get into like the top 4. So I said out of Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, and Hercules, what were you voting for? Beauty and the Beast for a while had no votes. And that's where I was like, this is wild. Like, how is Beauty and the Beast not doing well? Like,
this voting here is crazy.
Like, Hercules
nuts.
Was beating Beauty and the Beast. It was almost in the final 4 for best album until like the second half of the day, because on Instagram it's like 24 hours to do voting. Until kind of towards the end, then Beauty and the Beast started getting some votes.
Like it surged.
I thought for a second, so I'm like, there's no way Hercules is beating out Beauty and the Beast. It didn't. Beauty and the Beast narrowly beat out Hercules at 28% versus Hercules 22%. And then The Lion King got 50% of the vote. So out of that group, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast are going to the final 4. And then you had Tarzan, Frozen, and Moana. Frozen 2. Frozen 2 got crushed. People do not like Frozen 2. Tarzan had 45% of the vote. Moana had 41% of the vote. Frozen 2 had 14% of the vote. So according to Instagram, the top 4, and we'll reveal what the ranking is of those, is Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Frozen, and Moana. So let's get into our picks where we start disagreeing with this.
Okay. Well, first of all, this is me right now removing my earrings, getting ready to fight.
You love Frozen 2.
My number 1 pick is Frozen 2. So the fact that it did not play in is crazy to me. It like blows my mind because every single song is a bang. Like it's all so good. And like if like the words to the songs, like they're incredible. I think that there are 3 songs in Frozen 2 that anytime they come on, I have to listen to them. If I'm in a bad mood, I have to sing along. And that would be Into the Unknown, Lost in the Woods, and I can't, is it This Will All Make Sense When I'm Older? When I'm Older, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Like Samantha? I don't even know Samantha. Although
that's not in the song.
Huh?
I don't even know Samantha's not in the song.
It is, but it isn't. This is the thing that I was just going to bring this up. They kept the part where Olaf says Samantha, but why did they not keep the part where he says, I don't even know a Samantha?
Because that's in the movie. That's not part of the song. He must have just ad-libbed that the day he was doing the movie or something.
You think that they had recorded it and then they added that later and that's why.
They added that in
there.
there.
That's a good point. They should have put it in the soundtrack though. I always add that in whenever I'm singing it.
Yeah.
I don't even know a Samantha. Like
so. Yeah, I kind of wonder if Frozen would have done better.
Yeah,
like in the voting, like I feel like people like Frozen. Like Frozen was a global phenomenon. Frozen 2 did very well as well, but I feel like people do not remember maybe necessarily Frozen 2 as much as Frozen. We had this debate last week of which is the better Frozen that we wanted to put in here. You ultimately were very passionate, as you can tell now, how passionate you are about Frozen 2. So we went with Frozen 2. They're both incredible soundtracks. But yeah, I was very surprised that Frozen 2 did not do well in the voting. So you have Frozen 2 number 1. So what's the rest of your top 6 here?
Okay, my second is another one that did not do as well as I think it should have done, and that's Beauty and the Beast. And I think 2 and 3.
It made the final 4 though.
I think 2 and 3 for me switch depending on the day. So again, Beauty and the Beast is a movie that I didn't watch as a kid. For all I can remember, I watched it for the first time in college, and like my roommate made me watch it, and I was like, oh, this is really awesome. And then like it took me several more years to start listening to the soundtrack. So for me, it's the newer, fresher soundtrack than The Lion King, which I have at number 3.
Okay.
But I also think that The Lion King gets the hey, that's my kid playing on the sports team. I'm going to sit my kid on the bench so that the other kids, like none of the other parents give me a hard time. Like the Lion King is my kid being on the bench.
Yeah.
So I kind of, you know, I don't want to look bad and always pick my kid over everybody else's. So
Okay.
it's sitting on the bench. I don't know if that makes sense. You seem like it made sense, right?
I get what you're saying. You're tougher on it.
Yeah, I'm tougher on the Lion King.
You don't want to like put it too high because you're like, is it really that good?
Or is it just my affinity?
Yeah, or do
for
I
the
just
movie?
love it that much? Yeah, exactly.
So
Okay.
yeah, but I think that depending on the day, I might put it over Beauty and the Beast, but I don't know. I think that we did this a long time, like we did this a while ago, and I don't remember if it was before Frozen 2 came out.
Yeah, it was.
So I remember when Frozen 2 came out, I was like, oh, I picked The Lion King as my number one, and I wonder if Frozen 2 could beat it out. And so this is me saying, yeah, I think it kind of,
According to you,
I think it kind of does.
According to our listeners, no.
No,
in no way,
absolutely
shape, or form.
not.
Okay.
It's not
All
even
right.
close.
So what do you have for 4, 5, 6?
So I have Moana,
Okay.
and then I have Hercules and Tarzan.
Okay.
So the bottom of the list doesn't matter as much. I think Moana solidly is it would be like number 4. Hercules and Tarzan, again, like those ones for me are a little more interchangeable. I'm not as confident. It's not like where I'm going to say, yeah, this is the hill I'm going to die on. Frozen 2 is the best one. And then, you know, and then the top 3 for me, definitely Frozen 2, Beauty and the Beast, and Lion King. They're all very close.
Yeah.
But those are definitely the top 3.
I'm surprised you put Tarzan last because I think there's a very clear bottom here.
It's Hercules.
I think Hercules is the very clearly the one that is the bottom of this list. And to the point of listening to it again, kind of thinking like, should we have even included it in the top 6? And that's where I could not believe where it was actually winning the voting above Beauty and the Beast. Because I was like, how are you people putting Hercules ahead of Beauty and the Beast? Beauty and the Beast has so many great songs in it. To your point, it is very kind of classical Broadway, but they're all incredible songs. I will say, re-listening to this, I found it very funny because in the song Belle, they have that line, "I need 6 eggs, that's too expensive." And I was like, wait, it's as applicable today as it was back
Gaston would
back
be
then.
broken in eggs. How many dozens of eggs did he?
5 dozen. I think he's up to 5 dozen eggs. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 dozen. He would be like I don't know. Maybe the poor provincial town, they would give him the eggs for free because they respect him so much. But
yeah.
Nah, man.
I don't know, but yeah, it was funny. They're like, yes, 6 eggs. It's too expensive.
Maybe that's why Gaston always wears the same clothes.
It could be.
He just spends it all on eggs. So he just wears the same outfit.
With the song Belle too, you do kind of wonder, like, is she dreaming all of this? Because basically what she sings is exactly what happens in the movie. And you kind of wonder, like, okay, is this movie real now? Like, you second guess it. I will say the one knock I have against Beauty and the Beast, again, listening to all these again in these 6, is that it's all a very similar genre. So as we talked about, it's very like classical Broadway. All the songs are like that. All the songs are kind of like Broadway ballads. And to me, that hurts it a little bit when listening to some of these other ones that have more variety. But Hercules, there's too much of the muses and these interludes. Like, it's a good soundtrack. And I think this is one where a movie it does well. But like, there's so many of these songs. If even I'll Go the Distance,
they need more substance to them.
There is about a minute. I timed it.
Did you?
I timed it because I was like, how long was this? It's about a minute. In the middle of the song, it's just purely instrumental. And so, like, as a soundtrack that you're just listening to, not as a movie, but as a soundtrack you're just listening to, the instrumental part in Go the Distance, like, the muses are good, but
and again,
this is
not a sound, like, this is not a score. Like, we're not talking about the scores of movies. We're talking about them as like songs with words. So the fact that there's an instrumental break of that long and there's not a lot of substance to that song.
Yeah. The soundtrack of it. Exactly. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of like low points in these songs. And a lot of it is just like the Muses songs, like these little interludes of like 30-second songs of them just kind of recapping what's happening, which is cool, but like they're not necessarily something like they're so quick.
They're not
like,
substantial.
Yeah, they're not like songs I feel like you're going to sing, that you can really like kind of get into because they're over so quick. And just like the other songs, they're decent, but it just compared to the rest of these soundtracks, like I think Hercules is clearly
the last
one.
My only knock against Tarzan is I think a lot of the songs sound almost the same to the point where you forget that some of them exist. Like Son of Man sounds a lot like.
Okay. Son of Man is an absolute sleeper. That's what I wrote.
What is it? Strangers Like Me? I feel like those two songs almost in my head get
great too.
Conflated.
They are incredible. So going through Tarzan, having Phil Collins sing everything, I actually think helps it because it keeps it consistent. You have consistent vocals, you have a consistent voice, consistent quality. Because that's where some of these other ones, and even like Hercules, like they always didn't have the best singers early on, whereas like you get to Frozen, they're all Broadway
caliber singers.
And I think that really helps it when you get to Frozen and Frozen 2. So I think having Phil Collins, who is a great singer, helps it. But Son of Man is an absolute sleeper. You'll Be in My Heart and Two Worlds, they get all the notoriety, but Strangers Like Me, Son of Man, incredible. When I was listening, I was like, this is great. I need to listen to this more. So yeah, I think Tarzan, to your point, maybe they blend together. Like, I don't know that I would know the words, but it's great. Running through the other ones really quick. I already talked about Circle of Life from Lion King, being like an absolute tie into the theme. What I like about the Lion King is it's a lot of different styles. So Circle of Life is very different from I Can't Wait to Be King. It's very different from Be Prepared.
But there's still like, they use instrumentals in there that tie it to like where it's from.
Right. But again, to that variety of where Beauty and the Beast is maybe
like more
all
one
very
note.
similar. Yeah. The Lion King changes. Frozen 2, again, I feel like there is a lot of variety in Frozen 2. Into the Unknown is just an absolute power ballad that Idina Menzel kills. And then you have Lost in the Woods, which is kind of this like riff on like 90s music and early 2000s music, which is great.
And then you have another Broadway caliber singer in Jonathan Groff singing it.
Right.
Like,
but it's a different note. It's kind of a different, style.
And then if you watch the actual animation, it's even better.
Oh yeah, it adds to it. And then When I'm Older, that's a fun interlude, but it's also like a really good kind of clever song. I do love
The Next Best Thing. That one I can't listen to most days because it makes me cry.
Yeah. So just a lot of great variety there. I do like, though, Some Things Never Change. I think, like, what an incredible way to open a sequel where basically they're saying, hey, we know it's exactly like the first one, but there's going to be like a few things different. Like, if you listen to the words, it's basically them kind of rehashing like where they ended up at Frozen 1 and kind of like, yeah, we still do all the same stuff, but there's maybe something that's going to happen a little bit differently, which I think is hilarious for a sequel.
But the best part about that song is when you watch the Frozen documentary, everything they sing about that never changes in the course of the movie. The flag of Arendelle will always fly. It comes down. Like everything that they sing about changes.
Yeah, it's good foreshadowing, but it's funny of like, hey, we know you like the first one, so let's like just talk about all the cool stuff that you like from the first one, but it's gonna be a little different. So
I can't.
It's just a funny way to start a sequel.
I literally cannot imagine where they're going with Frozen 3. Like I can't, because I think that Frozen 2 sets the bar so, like, Frozen 1 was so immensely popular, and then I think Frozen 2 was like, to me, like the more cerebral of the Frozens. Like,
well, there's a lot because they split them up. I mean, Anna is queen now. Elsa is now kind of like part of the elements or something like that. So like, there's obviously,
isn't she part of the I forget what the name of the people.
North Aldra.
The North
Yeah,
Aldra,
but she's kind of like more with like the spirits of the elements now, like that ice horse and stuff. So it's almost like her power can grow. Obviously, like some, we could see what is happening with Anna and Arendelle. I think there's a lot they can do. It makes so much money. Like, they're gonna make. You knew they were going to make one. I think the thing is, I think they announced 4, though. I think they announced 3 and 4.
I think that Elsa should make an ice cow, a green ice cow. It's the cash cow.
Okay. I think they announced 3 and 4 though. I think that's where you get to the point of like, okay, what are they going to do? Like I could see 3 and maybe, you know, close out the story, but where's 4 going to go? But I will say Toy Story, what are they on 5? I mean, they find a way to, maybe one of them dies. Like they're going to have to do something to kind of shake it up in the 4th one to kind of keep it going past that if they want to.
I don't know that Disney has, I'm trying to think, like they almost never kill a character you're attached to, minus Mufasa. I'm trying to think.
They have to follow the Toy Story model where, okay, Andy's story is done and now the toys are with Bonnie. And that creates a new conflict for Woody of like, what does this mean now that I'm with a new child? And like, do I retire? And now at the end of the last one, he decided Bonnie's fine with Forky. She doesn't need me. So I'm going to go help.
Didn't he give away his voice box or something? I can't remember.
Yeah. So he's going to go help the other toys. So like you need something like that. So not necessarily that maybe one of them dies, but like you need something where it's like, it can't just be, hey, they're sisters, something happens and they go on an adventure together. Like something has to change the dynamic completely to kind of propel them forward. And then Moana, just musically, you know, having like the Polynesian inspired music is great. All the songs are really great. Again, listening to this, you start off with Where You Are. That sets the tone perfectly of them singing how they live on an island, but also that they don't ever leave. Okay, so it's kind of setting the tone of the movie. And then the
island gives you what you need.
You immediately contrast that, though, with How Far I'll Go. And it's such a beautiful contrast because it's Moana questioning, is there something wrong with me? Like we just heard the whole village singing, we live on this island, we don't need to go anywhere, we have everything we need. And then she's immediately questioning, well, I want to go, like I want to leave. I want to see where the ocean will take me. Is there something wrong with me? And that really, like, those two songs together really, it's so impactful in the movie of then like her journey because it's her reconciling.
It's her accepting herself.
It's her accepting herself and her reconciling, like, this is what my people do, but I'm not, like, there's nothing wrong with me for wanting to go out. And then she actually, like, shows her people, hey, we can leave. There is stuff past the island. Yeah, and also, like, How Far I'll Go, like, you just belt it out. Like, every time, like, you sing it, like, every time it comes on, Disney, they play in the parks all the time, like, you just want to sing it. So just absolutely incredible. And that's another one where the singing is just phenomenal. Like the vocals in Moana, like Frozen 2 and Moana, they got people that can really sing, and it works really well.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So my list, starting at the top, I have Frozen 2. I'm with you. Frozen 2 on top. Then I'm going The Lion King as number 2. Moana as number 3. So you can see, so Beauty and the Beast is falling. That was your second one, right?
That was my second.
Yeah, that was your second one.
I'm not mad at it, though, because I do think that, again, like, I think your top 2, those are solid. And then Moana, I think Moana's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. And, like, solidly, like, out of all the Disney movies, it is probably one of my top 3 favorite Disney movies of all time, too.
I have Beauty and the Beast 4th. And so, like I said, I think just the fact that it's all a very similar kind of note for me, I think that's why it fell behind Moana, Lion King, and Frozen 2. I think those top 4, though, are kind of like in a league on their own. Again, I'm surprised Frozen 2 didn't kind of win the voting, that it did so poorly on the voting on Instagram. Because I think those 4 are somewhat a cut above the rest of them. And then I had Tarzan next, and then obviously I had Hercules last on there. So that is my 6. Taking the top 4 that got voted in on Instagram. So Lion King ended up winning. It came in number 1 at 43%. Beauty and the Beast and Tarzan were both tied at 20%. And then Moana was at 17%, which, again, I think is kind of crazy because I think Moana...
I can't believe that Moana lost to Tarzan.
Yeah, I think Moana is better than Beauty and the Beast and Tarzan, based on my ranking, but I think it's definitely better than Tarzan.
I know. I mean, a lot of people feel very passionately about Tarzan music. And I do think that it is great. But like I said, my knock against it is just that I think a lot of the songs like blend together a little bit. And so they don't, because they're not distinctive. Even like, that was kind of your knock against Beauty and the Beast. But I think that even more so than Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan is kind of like that. Like you have one ballad, You'll Be in My Heart, and then the rest of it is kind of like the same level of like not really super hype music, but like I don't know, I don't know if it's a calm.
They're like similar tempo. Like
yeah,
it's a
like
similar,
a very that's what I was looking for. They're a very similar tempo. So because of that, for me, I wouldn't like they don't stand out from each other. Whereas I think that there's a little bit more peaks and valleys with the music from Beauty and the Beast.
I feel like Tarzan as well. You have like Trashing the Camp, which is a good song, but like it's not that great in terms of like compared to the other ones. And so I feel like with Hercules, Tarzan, like there's some more like throwaway songs on the soundtrack. Whereas you get into Lion King, Moana. You can sing all of
dense,
them. Yeah, like it's just every song is good. Like there's not a wasted song or moment on those soundtracks. So so those are our picks.
Sorry if we made you mad.
So clearly please let us know in the comments why we are wrong, because we know obviously based on the voting that most of you think we are wrong. Yeah, you think we're wrong. So if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments, or you can let us know on Instagram where you voted at Enchanted Ears Podcast over there. Send us a message.
If you are still listening.
Yeah, tell us why we're wrong. Maybe we'll read a few of the responses on why we're wrong on a future episode.
Just be kind.
Yeah. But that wraps up the show for this week. I want to thank everybody again for listening. If you've not done so, please leave us a rating or a review. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. It really helps, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for lending us your ears.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you here next Monday.
Bye-bye.